This is Nathan Fantasy Football League Updates.
Today, we reveal the Week 7 results and let you know how Mike's predictions went, as well as sit in on a media press conference with the head coach of the Bowling Green Cave Shrimp. And let's get you my Week 8 predictions. All that and more next. Nathan, Fantasy Football League Updates, welcome back. We are already through 7 weeks, and now we are here in Week 8. It was an exciting Week 7. My guest picker, Michael, didn't do the best. 3-2 overall again, but it's more positive than wrong. Let's find out where he went right, where he went wrong, and how about a chance we got to sit in on a post-game interview, a press release interview with the head coach of the Cave Shrimp. Stick around for that. Let's get you a quick Week 7 recap. And it all started with the Zestmeisters and Empire Strikes Back game, a big-time game for the Zestmeisters as they take down the Empire Strikes Back 159-118. And it's all thanks to the top scorer of the week, Lamar Jackson. He put up 34 points for the Zestmeisters, got some help, 23 from Kenneth Walker, 22 from George Pickens. He also got 23 from a new face at the flex position, Tank Bigsby, in over the seas at London. Big misses, Cortland Sutton, a big donut with 0. Kirk Cousins struggles with 7. And then only 1 from your stable player, Younghoe Koo. The big miss off the bench, it was David Njoku with 23 and Romeo Doubs with 17 fantasy points sitting on your bench. So would have been a better option than Cortland Sutton. On the other side for the Empire, they had a really solid week from the big three of Jared Goff. Baker Mayfield got you 27. Saquon Barkley against his former team, 26 points. Big day for the new face in a new place, but against his former team. You also got 20 from Jay Jettis, but the back end, Tank Dell got you a donut egg. Dalton Kincaid got you 8, and Josh Downs got you 1, along with -5 from the Jets defense. Brian Thomas Jr. sitting on your bench. He's now the 8th ranked wide receiver. He scored 22, and Wicks scored 13. Najee Harris adds 16. So some big misses off the bench as the Empire fall to 2-5, and the Zestmeisters improved to 4-3. Zestmeisters really looking a lot better, where the Empire, what's going on? They're crumbling. Did not see this coming this season. So, our next matchup, the Bay City Bunnies taking on the Guantanamo Bay Flying Squirrels. Guantanamo Bay Flying Squirrels trying to find that second win, and they're going to have to wait another week. The Bunnies escape 142-133 as they improve to 5-2 over the 1-6 now Guantanamo Bay Flying Squirrels. A poor performance from C.J. Stroud leads us off, but great weeks from Derrick Henry, another new face. Aaron Jones, 20 fantasy points. And when I say new face for Derrick, these are 2 new faces in new places, but these guys have really been stepping up. A.J. Brown, welcome back. He continues to perform well, 19 points, 15 from Terry McLaurin. And sorry, Chris Godwin, just acquired in trade, will miss the rest of the season, but he did enough, 13 fantasy points to help you win one final game. Really no big misses off the bench except the Texans defense got you 11. And on the other side of things, for the Flying Squirrels, they had a big week from Drake May, 20 fantasy points. 25 from Amon-Ra St. Brown, 12 from Tucker Kraft, 15 from the Bengals defense, and 13 from Justin Tucker. But Stephon Diggs got you 7. Daniel Jones, don't know why we started him, got 5. And 9 from J.K. Dobbins, 4 from Zay Flowers. Big misses off the bench. Well, the bench was poor too, but Nick Chubb got you 10, so that would have been a better option at the flex position. But Bunnies take down the Flying Squirrels in a big-time victory for them. A low-scoring matchup in matchup number 3. How about the Groundhogs taking on the Rough Riders? And it would be the Rough Riders escaping by 2 points, 100-98. The Groundhogs fall to 1-6. The Rough Riders squeak to 4-3. Some close matchups from a Rough Riders team that has not scored a lot this season. They've done just enough to get by a couple games. And once again, it was their fearless leader, Josh Allen, scoring 21 fantasy points, along with Joe Mixon, who's been back in a new place, doing big time things with 26 fantasy points. Drake London got you 18. And how about this? 0.8 from Devontae Smith, 0 from Taysom Hill, 0.8 for DeAndre Hopkins, and somehow, not to mention 8 from Anthony Richardson, but still, the Rough Riders get out of this with a victory. Big miss off the bench, 26 from Javonte Williams, 29 from Rashid White. On the other side of things, the Groundhogs, Sam Darnold got you 16. An injury to Jaden Daniels only gets you 5. Big miss. And not much else to highlight except the 10 from the Vikings defense. Poor day from Alan Lazard got you 9. Travis Kelce with 5. 8 from Wan'Dale Robinson. Marvin Harrison with 5. He was the big difference maker down the stretch. You needed another catch to possibly win this one, and you couldn't. Big miss off the bench. Amari Cooper was 16. We'll see if he gets the start next week. Because he's a new face in a new place doing big things. He scored 16. So Groundhogs fall to 1-6. Rough Riders improve to 4-3. Now we move on to the game of the week. It was the Avengers taking on the Brisbane Bay Bandicoots. The Bandicoots were on a 5-game winning streak, and it comes to an end as the Avengers do just enough to beat the Bandicoots 169-146. He got a big week from Breece Hall, 26. Jahmyr Gibbs, 32, 19 from DK, and 20 from Mark Andrews. Big misses, Deontay Johnson with 2, 9 from Mike Evans. Patrick Mahomes continues to suck. He's now throwing more interceptions than touchdowns. He only got you 12. How about Justin Herbert outscoring him? And then, of course, Cameron Dicker getting you 21 fantasy points. Really no big misses off the bench for the Avengers, playing the right players, and it's paying off as they get a big-time victory over the Bandicoots. Both teams now 5-2. For the Bandicoots, they got a big week from Bijan, 23. They got 19 from Kyron, 20 from Kyler Murray, 16 from Jordan Love, but then Malik Neighbors gets 8. 8 from Evan Ingram, and Devontae Adams in his Jets debut, only 6. Jamar Chase helped with 17, but the big misses off the bench, well, there really were none because Geno Smith did get 17, which would have been 1 point better for Jordan Love, but it wouldn't have made a difference. Bandicoots have their 5-game win streak snapped at the hands of the Michigan Avengers, 169-146. We'll see if they can bounce back and if the Avengers can keep rolling atop the league. And now that brings us to our final matchup. It's the Bowling Green Cave Shrimp taking on the Ithaca Iguanas, and it was a big-time victory in a surprise fashion for the Bowling Green Cave Shrimp, who have now won 3 in a row. They improved to 4-3 as the Iguanas fall to 4-3. Final score this one, 137-113. It was just a really low-scoring day for the Iguanas. They did get 22 from Jalen Hurts, 18 from T. Higgins, and 19 from Brock Bowers, but they got no help from Tyreek Hill. He only got you 2. David Montgomery had his first below 10 game, 8 fantasy points. Brandon Ayuk, 4, and a season-ending injury. Joe Burrow was even disappointing with 14. Big misses off the bench, 16 from Bucky Irving. Outside of that, really no big misses, just a down week for a very good Iguanas team. And on the other side of things, wow, what about some new faces getting it done? Kareem Hunt gets you 22. Russell Wilson gets you 24. And then it was more of the regular faces. Josh Jacobs, 20. Brock Purdy, 17. How about 0 from Deebo Samuel? And now I've been told he does have pneumonia in the hospital. We'll see if he plays this week. And even J-Mo, 0.6 points, now suspended. Just 2 really bad games from 2 players. How about players stepping up on the other side? And then Trey McBride added 10, and Austin Siebert added 17. Big miss off the bench. Khalil Shakir with 13, and technically Tyler Lockett with 8, and then Tyrone Tracy Jr. with 6. So actually, before we conclude this segment, big time win for the Bowling Green Cave Shrimp. How about we hear from their head coach? We got to catch up with him during the interview section of his media time after the big victory over the Iguanas to be over 500 for the first time. Let's take a listen and a look at that interview.
Coach, a minute of your time. Coach.
Yeah.
Coach, a big-time win against a big-time opponent. How do you feel after this?
Yeah, we found a way to get it done this week. That's a pretty good team on the Iguanas side. I mean, just down week. Props to the teams, are playing them to help their players in check this week. I mean, that was huge for us. But, we found a way to get it done. This team
has a no-quit mindset. They're finding ways to get it done even when we don't have some of our top guys in the lineup. So just really proud of them for getting the win this week. I mean, we're starting to get things rolling and just finding ways to win, and that's the most important thing for us.
Coach, you've had a lot of guys step up this season like Russell Wilson. What has that meant to the team?
The way guys have stepped up has been huge. I mean, Russ is a great example of that, but it's felt like all season, we get off to the slow start, and now we're picking it up now, but we've done it without some of our top players. Jonathan's doing whatever he's doing. I mean, every week telling us he's good, and then he's not. So we've been without him during this entire winning streak, and we're having guys step up. Kareem's been a big part of that. This week, obviously, it was Russ stepping up in a big spot, along with Kareem Hunt. And, I mean, the Steelers are doing whatever they're doing. No more Justin, but Russ fills that gap. That was huge for us this week. I mean, looking forward to things. Debo's now going to become an issue along with Jameson. So next man up. We've got plenty of depth on our bench. We have faith in Khalil Shakir. He can step up and be that guy. Tyler Lockett's waiting for another chance to get out there and do something for us. We're hoping to have Jonathan back this week, but if adversity finds us, we have the group of guys that's really good at just, taking the punches, and we're finding ways to win even without, some of our top guys in there. Josh has really stepped up, and Garrett, too. I mean, how about that kid? Really found his groove in the last couple of weeks. Big reason for these wins, and he's doing it with a new face in the building. So, I mean, couldn't be more proud of these guys going out there every week and getting it done. That's no slouch of an Iguanas team. They're going to be good come playoff time, and we're hoping to see them there. But, just can't be prouder for these guys. I mean, they step up in the big moments, and they're filling their roles, and couldn't be happier for those guys.
You're facing a very good Bandicoots team this week. They're high scoring. What's it going to take to win?
Yeah, we're playing a pretty good Bandicoots team this week. I don't know if you guys have been watching. Obviously, they have a tough game last week against the Avengers. They fall short. They're going to be hungry. They've been the most consistent scoring team every week. I mean, they're getting 140, 150 easily outside of their, week one loss, which was their only other loss. They were one of the hottest teams in the league, but guess what? They just lost one, so they'll be hungry. So we've got to be ready to go. We know they're going to score in bunches. They're going to score a lot. They've got a lot of good talent over there, but so do we. So do we. We've got to have faith in our squad, and I have more than enough faith in our guys to go out there, get it done, and hopefully pull out a win. We just have to be able to score. That's going to be the message to the guys this week. We need big scores. We can't have, the games we had last week where Debo's not playing and scoring 0 and J-Mo's getting 1 catch and -4 yards. So we need everybody to score at a consistent pace, kind of what we did a couple weeks ago against the Flying Squirrels. We need that again if we want to hang with these guys. They're a good team. We know they were on that big winning streak, but guess what? Now we've got the biggest winning streak in the league, so these are the guys we're going to rock with. We're excited for this challenge, this opportunity to prove, we have the turnaround. We're a good squad, but, just excited to see what our guys bring to the table this week. Big week. Couldn't be happier. Anybody else?
Coach, crucial stretch in the season for you.
Yeah.
How are you feeling now above 500?
It's a crucial stretch for us right now. We get above the 500 mark for the first time this season, and 4-3. We can't be compliant now with 500. Big win gets us 2 games above. Another one gets us 3. I mean, it's 1 week at a time, but, this week we're focused on the Bandicoots. And next week after that, it's whoever we have after that. But 1 week at a time, we're figuring things out as we go. We're dealing with injuries. We're hoping Isaiah will be back, and we might get to see TJ Hawkinson here soon. He's been sitting on the IR. So, 1 week at a time is kind of the mindset and the mentality. But this week, the focus on scoring. We can't expect the defense to completely shut down a Bandicoots team because they really haven't all season. So just excited for this week. We're excited for the challenge and excited for what this team's got to offer. 1 week at a time, though, and we'll worry about the playoffs when that time comes and we get there. Just getting this team ready for the playoffs, and hopefully, we'll have some pieces come back. And before you know it, this team's back up to full strength. All right. Thank you, guys. Would you like to comment?
Oh my God, yes!
We're joined by Mike, who had a 3-2 week now outside of that interview. A great interview with the head coach of the Cave Shrimp, though.
Really great. Okay, good. That's good.
Yes, but any last-minute comments here? We've concluded recapping your section 3-2 week. Cave Shrimp get their big win. Zestmeisters pull off the victory. And then the Bunnies pull off a victory, which you called, but a close loss for the Groundhogs. They fall to the Rocky River Rough Riders. And then another loss for the Bandicoots, surprisingly losing big-time fashion to the Avengers.
Yeah, I had better faith in the Groundhogs. They're looking at 1-6 now, and you got some work to do there. Other than that, everybody else, great week. Keep up the good work and keep kicking ass.
Well, we might have you back next week.
I'm looking forward to it.
But Michael, 3-2 again. We'll see if he comes back and makes better predictions next time. But we've heard from the head coach, the Cave Shrimp. But how do they get it done this week? Well, let's go to my Week 8 predictions.
Here we go. Let's get you my Week 8 predictions right now. Some really, really good matchups on tap for this week. It feels like a lot of even matchups, and we're going to start with the first matchup that I feel like is perfect to get us started this week. The two bottom teams in the league, the Grand Rapids Groundhogs taking on the Guantanamo Bay Flying Squirrels. Two 1-6 teams here in Week 8. One of them will get to 2 wins. The other one really hitting the panic button at 1-7 and probably are seeing their playoff hopes pretty much out the window. So, big spot for both these sides to try to get things going. For the Flying Squirrels, they've made a trade to acquire Justin Herbert. I expect him to play this week for them. I think they get decent games from Caleb Williams and Justin Herbert. Good game from James Conner and a solid game from J.K. Dobbins. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, a monster game against Tennessee, who is completely selling this week. So I expect him to play really well. Stephon Diggs has a bounce-back game. And then your turning point player, Tucker Kraft, the Green Bay Packers tight end. He's had some really solid weeks with no Musgrave and that tight end 1 position in front of him. So we'll see if he continues to take advantage of that. This week, do I see him having a big week? I think he has a serviceable week is how I'll put that. But another quality game from him. And then Zay Flowers plays all right. And your special teams, a decent week. On the other side, for the Groundhogs, Jaden Daniels, if he plays, which they hopefully will, he plays really solid. Back to form. Be careful, though, with that rushing ability. I don't know if he's going to be more keen to stay in the pocket or run this week, especially with that rib injury. Sam Darnold has another good week. And then we get to your turning point player. It's Devon Achane. Tua is maybe returning this week. We don't know. But nonetheless, I think Devon Achane, he's had some really, really bad weeks ever since getting injured. He has not looked like the Devon Achane of last year. Can he return to this form this week against a bad Arizona front? That's going to be the tell for this game. He's your turning point player. I think Cooper Kupp is set to return. I think he has a big week. You get a good week from James Cook. And Amari Cooper, one of those new guys in a new place, plays phenomenal. Travis Kelce has a Kelce-like game. Not this year Kelce, but a couple years ago, Kelce has a pretty solid game this week. And outside of that, Ramondre Stevenson, the Vikings, Boswell, and Cole, they all do all right. So, my prediction for the matchup of the bottom of the league, give me in a 5-point spread, the Guantanamo Bay Flying Squirrels to get it done this week and a big-time win. I think they have more big-time plays from Diggs and St. Brown. Dobbins and Connors put together a good week. And the trade for Herbert, he's going to be a consistent scorer, so expect him to be pretty solid. On the Groundhogs, you got to hope for Jaden Daniels this week, and Cooper Kupp and Amari Cooper have put up some big numbers with Kelce to possibly give you a chance in this one. Matchup number 2, we're moving a little quickly, but another great matchup. The red-hot Bay City Bunnies taking on the Ithaca Iguanas, who just came off of a disappointing loss against the red-hot Cave Shrimp. But this one's going to be a fun matchup. Two teams that are well-versed to battle each other, and should be a fun one. We'll start with the Iguanas. Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow, they're facing off in real life. So in fantasy value, I think they're both going to have great games, 20-plus games from both of them this week. I think David Montgomery had his first under 10 game last week. I think he gets back on track, getting into the end zone, using that power
to really score. Kamara has a good week. CeeDee Lamb off of bye week will play really well even against a good 49ers defense. Then we get to your turning point player, Tyreek Hill. We've mentioned him a couple times as your turning point player. Tua might be set to play this week. Is that the answer for Tyreek? Boy, do you hope so. Boy, do a lot of fantasy football owners hope so. So Tyreek Hill, your turning point player, because Tua's back. He needs to have a big week for you. I think with Tua back, he returns to form. Brock Bowers and Higgins continue to be solid and consistent for you. That's a really good 1-2 punch. Then defensively, special teams wise, a little bit more of a down week. On the other side, for the Bunnies, CJ Stroud gets back on track and Trevor Lawrence continues his trend upward as he continues to get those Jaguars back on track after an abysmal start. Derrick Henry continues to be one of the most surprising new faces in new places this season with Saquon Barkley. He has a big game. Aaron Jones has a big game. A.J. Brown off injury has scored 20 plus each week when healthy. He continues that trend. And Terry McLaurin, if Jaden Daniels is playing, a big week from him. Your turning point player, Hunter Henry. No Sam Laporta this week, understandably. Sam Laporta, what has happened to him? He has lost all targets he had last year. He's really been a poor pick. But Hunter Henry, I think, gets good targets from Drake May and the Patriots. He has a serviceable week. Jaden Reed, another fine, serviceable week. Special teams, Kami Fairbairn continues to be a cheat code. He has a big week for you. So another fun matchup, but in a 1-point spread. Give me the Ithaca Iguanas to pull off a close win over the Bay City Bunnies, handing them their third loss. Both teams will be 5-3 at the end of this. I just think the Ithaca Iguanas have a little bit more potential for that high-scoring game. They get good source 20-plus from their quarterbacks, good use from the wide receivers this week, especially with Tua back for Tyreek. 3 more matchups to go. The next one, the Avengers coming off a huge upset victory over the Bandicoots, in my opinion. They take on the Empire Strikes Back. Should be a really fun matchup. Obviously, the Empire have been so surprising with how disappointing they've been this season. They're trying to get the ship righted. We'll see if they do. We'll start for the Empire with their quarterbacks, Jared Goff, a solid week against a bad Titans team. And your turning point player, it's Baker Mayfield this week. No Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. Who does he throw to? Is he still as good as he has been this season? Or was it more of a wide receiver luck type of thing with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin? We're about to find out. That's your turning point player. I think he's got enough weapons to get by, though. I think he stays the course. A good week for Baker Mayfield. Then we get to Saquon Barkley, another 20-plus week from him. How about Najee Harris? Looking like the Najee Harris that went in the first round a couple years ago in fantasy football. He's going to continue to trend upward. Justin Jefferson now becomes the top scorer of the week. I think Justin Jefferson against the Rams on Thursday Night Football, primed for a huge game. I'm thinking 30, maybe 40. Big game for Jay Jettis this week. How about one of the best rookies this season in Thomas Jr. having a pretty solid week for you. And you get another good week from Robinson Jr. You'll get an okay week from Kincaid, and Elliott, I think, has a big week this week against the Bengals. On the other side, for the Avengers, your turning point player, it's Patrick Mahomes. What has happened to Patrick Mahomes? He's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns now, but the Chiefs are still winning. He's not great value right now in fantasy football, especially for where the Avengers took him. I'm interested to see what Patrick Mahomes brings to the table this week. Can he finally score over 16 fantasy points? We're going to find out. I don't think it happens this week, especially against a bad Raiders team, which it should happen, where he's in the 20-plus range. Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, and Jahmyr Gibbs all play good this week. All solid games from them. They've all got good matchups. And then wide receivers, where it gets interesting. No Mike Evans, no DK Metcalf. Big losses for this Avengers team at the wide receiver position. I expect DJ Moore there. I expect Jalen Waddle there. Waddle, I'm very iffy on this week. He'll probably, at best, play serviceable. I think DJ Moore has a huge week, though. I think him and Caleb Williams have really got a good 1-2 punch going. Mark Andrews looked back on track last week. I think he continues it this week. And we'll see who slides in at the flex. But with no receivers,
and some interesting play. The Avengers, do they still have it this week? Well, my prediction, in a 7-point spread, I'm taking the Empire to upset the Avengers. They've got the top player of the week in Jay Jettis. They've got a lot of big scores this week. It's enough to take down a Avengers team that within has lost a lot of key players and their 2 top receivers. Matchup number 4 now coming your way. Zestmeister's Rough Riders. Really like this matchup as the Rough Riders, they're a team that finds a way to get it done. They haven't scored the most points in the league. They've actually scored some of the least amount of points in the league, but they're finding ways to win. They've gotten good strategical weeks played. And they're playing a Zestmeister's team that scored in bunches. So for the Zestmeisters, I think they get another big game from Lamar. They get serviceable games from Kirk Cousins and Chuba Hubbard. I think they get a good game, again, from Kenneth Walker, who's been excellent. And your turning point player is Dobbs, Romeo Dobbs from the Packers. I think he plays serviceable. That Packers receiving core, it's a one receiver show every week. It's Christian Watson, it's Jaden Reed, it's Romeo Dobbs one week. Who knows who it's going to be this week, but it's going to be interesting to see. I think Dobbs is serviceable, but not the top receiver in the room. George Pickens loves having Russell Wilson back. I think he's going to have a huge game again this week. And George Kittle, if there's no Debo, if there's no Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, 20-plus performance, with Mason playing all right against a good Dallas front. On the other side for the Rough Riders, Anthony Richardson has struggled. Hasn't really scored above 10 since week 1. I think he finally scores above 10, but hangs around that 10-point range. I don't know what's been going on with him. The rushing ability and the passing ability have not been in tandem like they were last year before his injury. We'll see if he becomes a fantasy liability for the Rough Riders and can finally start things going in that 20-plus point range. Josh Allen, another monster week from him. Joe Mixon plays phenomenal. I think Drake London has a big game. And your turning point player this week, Rachaad White. He had a monster game. Finally looked good. Bucky Irving had felt like the main back there. But Rachaad White, I think, has another good game this week as your turning point player. Gets things back on track. So, now what do I think of this one? I think in a 10-plus point spread, giving the Zestmeisters too much offense for the Rough Riders to handle this week. They fall in a big-time spread to the Zestmeisters. I just think a lot of offense coming at them. They don't have the pieces. Josh Allen and Joe Mixon can only do so much to help the Rough Riders out. So, 4 matchups in the books. Let's get you the game of the week. One of the most anticipated matchups so far of the season. It's the winningest in a row team this season in the Brisbane Bay Bandicoots, taking on the current win streak leader in the Bowling Green Cave Shrimp. The Cave Shrimp have won 3 in a row. They have things rolling, and even without some of their best players, they're finding ways to win, as we heard in that press conference, a really great press conference with Coach. So what do I think of this week? I think, both quarterbacks, Brock Purdy and Russell Wilson this week, need big weeks. Russ playing the Giants. I think there's great potential there. Brock Purdy playing a tough Dallas team, but he's found ways to score points even if he doesn't have his top receivers. My turning point player, it's Jonathan Taylor. I'm sick and tired of hearing Jonathan Taylor's practicing. He's going to be good this week, and then he doesn't play, doesn't practice. If Jonathan Taylor needs to play for the Cave Shrimp to really get things rolling, that's why he's the turning point player. If he plays, he has a big week. They need him this week against the Texans, so hopefully he plays this week. Josh Jacobs, Garrett Wilson continue to roll forward. Those guys have caught fire. Garrett Wilson, more because the best corners are headed to Devontae Adams' side, so I like Garrett Wilson. And Debo, hopefully, if he plays, will be serviceable at best. We'll see if he even plays this week. I think I get another big week from Kareem Hunt against a terrible Raiders team. On the other side, for the Bandicoots, I think they get a big week from Jordan Love. They get a very midweek from Geno Smith. But we will see. The turning point player, Geno Smith, tough matchup coming up this week. We'll see how he does with the pressure. Should be interesting to watch. But the running back tandem, Kyron Williams and Bijan Robinson, play solid. Jamar Chase and Malik Neighbors, another big game for them. And DeAndre Swift, off the bye, will play serviceable. So, I think in a 1-point spread, in the game of the week. This one's going to be close, high scoring, because if the Cave Shrimp want to win, they've got to be high scoring this week. But give me the Bandicoots to get it done. Too much offense again from the Bandicoots. Defeat the Cave Shrimp, and that's going to be enough to get it done. I think if Jonathan Taylor and Debo aren't playing, you struggle offensively for the Cave Shrimp to keep up with such a high-powered offense that the Brisbane Bay Bandicoots have moving forward. So those are all 5 matchups. Bandicoots, Flying Squirrels, Iguanas, Empire, and Zestmeisters get wins this week. That will conclude today's episode. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with my takes? Do you disagree? What players do you think could be crucial this week for teams? And who do you think has a big week? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on the Nathan Sports Talks channel.